Now, I feel like we have to talk about it, folks, because the NFL draft is just inching closer and closer, exactly a month away to this very moment. And I saw something on the stream or something that earlier suggested something interesting. They said, "Hey, Dan, would so and so potentially be trade bait for some additional draft compensation in the upcoming 2025 NFL draft?" And you know what? I don't think so, but I do think that there are a couple of candidates that, if it were to happen, I would not be shocked in the slightest. So on today's video, we are going to be walking through, I would say, the biggest trade candidates that the Buffalo Bills could leverage to perhaps trade up into the first, for example. Like, we're talking a player plus some other picks so that we can move up, like 10 to 12 spaces right in the first round. Maybe we trade a player so that we can trade up from the fourth and get into the third for a specific player, and so on and so forth. So I am super excited to dive into all of this. If you guys are just joining and you are watching the replay of this episode, please do me a favor that when you do subscribe to the channel, make sure you turn on bell notifications, because each and every single one of my streams, I talk for about 10 to 15 minutes on the said topic, and then I end up moving over exclusively to the live chat where my audience gets to take over the conversation. Smash that like button for me. I think there's no reason why we can't get over 200 likes by the time this stream is over, including replays as well. So without further ado, let's dive into it. First one on the list that I find interesting, I would not be shocked if this guy was actually on the trade block, and that would have to be DaQuan Jones for me, right? He's a defensive tackle. He is 33 years old, one tech. I think that last year he had a bit of a decline, right? And there's been so many speculations out there that the Buffalo Bills may very well double dip at the defensive tackle position, right? Several of us are so high on Kenneth Grant, and several of us want to go on ahead and target an Omar Norman lot later in the draft or another beefy one-tech defensive tackle. I think DaQuan Jones would make sense if that is what the Buffalo Bills are planning on doing. Now, a DaQuan Jones, in my opinion, is not going to be enough to help us trade up into the first round. But I do think that DaQuan Jones could potentially be a piece that could be moved in order to get the Buffalo Bills from the fourth round, perhaps even into the third, and then also be able to acquire some future draft capital in 2026 and 2027, if you will. Now, why do I think that he's a candidate? Well, number one, this is his final year of his said contract where he will turn 34 years old. And with DaQuan Jones's contract, if we were to trade him, okay, then we would save $4 million to cap immediately in 2025, and then only a $5.3 million in dead cap. Now, this is money that has already been paid to DaQuan Jones. This is essentially just an accounting measure by itself. So it wouldn't break the bank, at least in the present. And again, like I said, each and every single year, the NFL cap is growing to a tad around $30 million increase each and every single year. So DaQuan Jones wouldn't necessarily be a shocker to me if I saw something on day 2 of the NFL draft that he was shipped over so the Buffalo Bills could slide into the third round, which I still believe is on a high list of priorities for the Buffalo Bills. Now, next up, and I know a lot of you guys have been suggesting this name over and over and over again, but it's a possibility, guys. And quite frankly, I don't think that we have all of these sentiments surrounding what the Buffalo Bills feel about the James Cook situation. I really feel that we have no idea, right, what Buffalo is thinking about this. When he ended up going onto Instagram saying he wanted $15 million as of like 2 days ago, where Brandon Beane mentioned that all he has done was have initial conversations with the likes of James Cook and or same thing with Christian Benford. But what if this is too much? What if the Buffalo Bills are just like, you know what? Like, we're really not trying to deal with this headache. We just got a headache out of this locker room last year with Stephon Diggs. And I'm not saying that James Cook is being a headache. We don't know. However, say that he is, James Cook could potentially also be a trade candidate. Now, this is a very deep running back class. A very deep running back class. And no, I am not saying that we need to trade James Cook and target a running back early. Not at all. In fact, I would be wildly against it. But I do think that James Cook could potentially be a part of a package for the Buffalo Bills to move up a couple of spaces in the first round. If, for example, we are trying to go out and make an absolute move, right, on a CB2 like a Will Johnson, or perhaps trade up for Matthew Golden, whatever, a true first round caliber sort of player. And I'm not going to lie to you, it would almost be a no-brainer if, of course, the Buffalo Bills plan on doing this. If they do want to leverage some of our current players on the roster to help us get to where we want to in the first round, second, third, what have you. If Cook was traded for draft capital and or to help us move up, we would automatically save $5.3 million to the cap. This is his final year of his rookie deal. I just want to let everybody know this. And the dead cap would be sitting at around $355,000, which is virtually nothing. Absolutely nothing. As you can see, last year of his deal, $5.2 million is his base salary of what he is owed, and he needs to play in order to achieve that. And I'll tell you what, a lot of NFL teams, in my opinion, would be happy to take a flyer out on a James Cook. A lot would be absolutely thrilled for this rate right here on the final. And who knows, maybe they even give him an immediate deal moving forward. So James Cook would be my second potential trade candidate if the Buffalo Bills wanted to leverage certain personnel to gain some additional draft capital in 2026 and 2027, or perhaps even move up in a couple of rounds. Again, we are all literally sitting here, folks, with 10 draft picks. The Buffalo Bills are not walking away with 10 draft picks. However, if, for example, we wanted to leverage some of our assets from a personnel standpoint, then we could definitely ship James Cook off to help us move up in the first and or move up in the second, what have you. Next one is interesting. I'm not particularly sure if I am an advocate for this one, okay? Because I don't like the dead cap situation, but you never know with this team. And that just so happens to be Curtis Samuel. I think a lot of us were disappointed in the Curtis Samuel signing last year. And I think this one might be the least likely, but say, for example, that we were to move on and leverage Curtis Samuel for draft capital in the future and or to move up in 2025, we'd save about $3.8 million and take on a dead cap hit of about $5.1 million this year. So not the end of the world, especially once you consider how much the cap is going up each and every single year. This could potentially be a dude. Somebody in the chat earlier also suggested AJ Epinesa. I don't believe that he would be on the move because a lot of our edge rushers are still young, and then also with Bosa's only on a 1-year deal. But if, for example, that AJ Epinesa was a possible, he's going to go right over here. If, for example, we were to trade AJ Epinesa, we'd only take on a $4.1 million dead cap hit and $3.3 million in 2025. This would be a trade that could probably get us or help us move up into the third and or the fourth, probably get us like a fourth or a fifth in 2026, 2027, one of the two. So I think there's really 4 players that I think could potentially be trade bait. And that, of course, is assuming that that's what the Buffalo Bills plan on doing going into the draft. But without further ado, let's go to the chat and see exactly what everybody thinks. Guys, as mentioned, this is the part of the episode where I transition exclusively over to the chat. I allow them to take control of the conversation. So if you are new here, ladies and gents, when you subscribe, make sure you turn on those bell notifications and make it happen. I met Tyrod after he left the Bills and was a Charger. He saw me wearing a Bills hat and asked, "What the hell are you doing all the way in California?" Damn, holy hell. And do you think Diggs is just shopping around trying to boost his stock? We have Raphael coming in with a great question. I personally don't think that Diggs has a lot of value this year, at least for the time being. He tore his ACL midway through the season, and an ACL takes about a year to fully recover. I know that we're seeing all of those like videos of him squatting and running at full speed, but make no mistake, like he's not going to be able to be out in the field at bare minimum week 5. And even then, it's going to take about 3 to 4 weeks for him to get back up to full speed. And then it's going to take another 2 to 3 weeks for him to gain chemistry with this new quarterback. So I don't think it's necessarily a Stephon Diggs issue. I think it has everything to do with teams willing to be patient if we see. We have Elite B Patch. He's coming from Twitch. Damn, baby. Let's talk about it. We just need to trust Bean and the process. He led us right in the direction since we landed Allen our time. Look at that. Noah is coming in with a great statement. He said, Connor McGovern, like him, but I want to see what Van Pran Granger can do eventually. I think he's just depth at this point. Monkey English Club is saying, I want an angry James Cook on the roster this year. I mean, look, just because I ended up making this a topic today does not mean that I think that we are going to trade either of these guys. But if, for example, we were to leverage any player that is potentially trade bait so that we can move up for a player, I think those were the three. I think James Cook being angry would be able to help out. Dan, terrible news. Oh, my God. Chris Sims just released his top wide receiver in the draft. He listed Kyle Williams as wide receiver 2 in the entire class, below Hunter and McMillan. Now he is going to launch up draft boards. Damn it, damn it, damn it, my friend. Kyle Williams is finally getting the love. I thought that he was a damn sleeper, but here he is. Pitts 339. Man, please make a big move. Get Allen some dogs. And the only big move we made was trading up for Allen, and it worked out. So I would say that trading for Stephon Diggs, like 4 or 5 years ago was certainly a big move here and there. But I do agree, hitting this draft class is imperative to the future of the Buffalo Bills. We have to hit on a damn draft class. We have Jersey Rel is coming in with a statement here. He says, a lot of wide receivers are dropping in the projected draft. If a good wide receiver is available, do you think the Bills take a receiver? So I'm going to stand pat on what I've been saying for the past couple of weeks. I don't want the Buffalo Bills to marry a position to a specific round. What I want from this team is to have a draft board based off of the positions of need, but rank those players accordingly. If all of the defensive tackles that have a first-round grade, if all of them do have a first-round grade and they're gone, then I would then like to go to the draft board and say, okay, who's the best player available based off of the safeties, wide receivers, CB2s, and defensive tackles? That's how I kind of want to look at the draft. If the board falls that way, then absolutely. Absolutely. I would be fine. Move up for Jay Carter. I've actually heard some red flags about him. I am going to do a video about some red flags of some first-round prospects / would-be busts, because I have been doing a little bit of research that I think you guys will find interesting. Soul Train is saying Cook and a couple of late 5th-round picks for an early 2nd-round pick. Cook and a couple of that. Yeah, right? Hold up. Yeah. So that would get it done. So we send over Cook, maybe a couple of 5ths, whatever. That gets us away from all of those draft picks in the first place. I'm sure it would be able to help us move up. I think James Cook would actually be pretty solid leverage to get us up a couple of spaces in the first round as well. Say, for example, that we wanted to send over Cook, and like we sent them over a 4th round Cook, and we pick swap right on the first round. I think that it could get done. What do you think about moving up to go get Mike Green out of Marshall? He's a very polarizing prospect. Like, some people like him, some people do not, right? I feel like edge rusher for me, there are a lot of players that I find intriguing later in the draft. I'm not sure if Mike Green would be a person that I would move up for. I am looking at the draft and I see 3 players that I think would be worth like moving up for. One is Will Johnson from Michigan, corner, who I believe is going to fall on draft boards because Jahdae Barron's going to be CB1 of this draft. I just see it that way. And I see Will Johnson falling to about like 18, 19, perhaps all the way down to 22. So that's number one for me. I would love Emin Wari as well. Safety. He's like a Kyle Hamilton, especially when it comes into comparables. And then number three would be Matthew Golden, would probably be the only three players that I think would be out of our reach if we say that we stayed at 30 and we had to go on ahead and draft up that way. But we'll see. Don't trust Bean's first round picks. Very weak average at best players. Not one difference maker, except for Josh Allen, baby. I still think our defensive line needs to move. Most help in first round should be linemen. And so again, so when it comes into first round picks, right? I really can't name a massive contributor from any of these first rounds after pick 25, right? Especially in the first round. 9 times out of 10, so when you were in the first round of the NFL draft, there are not 32 players that have any business in typically being drafted in the first round. It's very rare that you have an entire first round that has 32 first round graded players. It is so much of a gamble to hit on a player after you get past pick 22, 23 in the NFL draft. And that's what the Buffalo Bills have been drafting at for the past couple of years. That is one of the downsides of being a good, sort of football team. But I don't know. Hopefully this is the year. Mr. J Blonde is saying, I still think our defensive line needs the most help, and first round should be a lineman. As long as that player is a first round graded player, I am happy. To quote the GOAT, John Cena, our time is now. Bills Super Bowl victory at Levi Stadium. Damn. Yo, why is Dan low-key jacked? Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate that. I down 3,000 calories a day. Oh, man. And so I benched 315, by the way. Fun fact. Anyway, Soul Train, I love the idea of the Bills having multiple second-round picks. Yeah, I mean, we have 2 right now. We could potentially move up and get another one. Who knows? Listen, I love the second round this year. There's so many players. Dan, check out running back Woody Marks out of South Carolina. I'm going to have to. Yeah. Draft positions of need in day 1 and day 2 of the draft. However, you don't reach on players. You either trade up or trade back to where the player's value makes sense. Absolutely, Spin. You and I are on the same page there, man. Everyone hit the like button. Hey, Cheetos on Netflix. I appreciate that. Yeah, guys, for sure. Goal is about 200 like buttons by the time this stream is over, plus replays included. So say, for example, you're vibing with my daily streams Monday through Friday. Go on ahead and smash that like button. Make it happen. I will try to trade with Dallas to go get Parsons. I think we're done as far as any sort of trade/free agency moves. Dude, y'all for real like the video? This is sad. Oh, no. It's all right, guys. Hey, listen. Say that you guys want to like it. If not, completely cool. What's up, Dan? How you doing today? Go Bills. Parker, I am doing fantastic, my friend. It's Monday. Weather was a little shitty this morning to begin with, but now the sun is starting to break out. Florida's about to be getting some pretty good weather here starting tomorrow. Hey, Dan, go Bills. Cameron, go Bills, man. Go Bills, bro. Let's make it happen. Soul Train is saying Starks is growing on me, especially if they slide Bishop to strong safety. I think Bishop is truly a strong safety, and he was playing a bit of the free role last year next to Rapp. So it just depends. It just depends on where the Bills want to go with it. Me personally, I love Emin Wari. He's my favorite safety prospect. I have him over Starks, actually, but it's very close. Very close. Mark my words, Benjamin Morrison will be our first round pick. I would hate that. I'm not going to lie to you. He's probably like one of my biggest like red flag prospects in this draft. Like number one, he's a man corner, right? He would not fit in with our scheme. And number two, he's coming off of a hip injury. How bad was that hip injury, right? Like being a corner, like you need that fluidity. And so you need that change of direction. And I would not be happy at all if Ben Morrison was the pick. Noah, I'm assuming you're a big Notre Dame guy. I'm hoping for the best from Benjamin Morrison, but
I hope he proves me wrong on a different team, because that's not something that that's not something that I would like to risk for this. No, he won't, Noah. He is a second round value. We have Josem. What's up, man? How you doing? Bills could low-key trade up for a top-tier corner like Barron and or Wilson. Dude. Ugh. A Will Johnson would be my dream. A Will Johnson and or a Jade Barron would be perfect. Jesus. Bill should have signed Harold Landry, Josh Sweat, or Hassan Reddick instead of an injury-prone Joey Bosa. Best ability is availability. So I look at it like this, right? Like, we saved $9 million walking away from Von Miller. And then we turned around and spent $12.5 million on Joey Bosa. So if you really look at it, Joey Bosa cost us about $3.5 million. Like, we brought in a younger guy that maybe has a similar injury history for the past couple of seasons, but I don't know. Hoping for the best, because say that Joey Bosa can stay healthy, solid player. Yo, what up, Mafia? Yo, Bobby, what's up? Hope all is well. Morrison can play zone. Don't like Morrison. And do you think that we are going to grab a tight end in the draft? Quentin Morris will probably be signed by someone else if he hasn't already been. I don't see that on our lists, but maybe. Who knows? 143 people watching and only 2 likes. How? That can't be right. 151 of you on YouTube right now, 59 of you on X, 8 of you on Facebook, and 1 of you on Twitch. Folks, please do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up sign. I think we can get it done. Alabama offensive players might be underrated with Milroe's inconsistent passing. I need Emanwari on the Bills. He is the new Kyle Hamilton of this league. I promise you that. If they trade up for Wilson, I think it would be a sign that they are not going to end up extending Benford. Picking late isn't an excuse. Have to maneuver a bit in later rounds. Picks like Casey McDuffie and Karlaftis and Bolden and Worthy, many impact players, and they pick later. But still, it's still like nowhere near a good hit point, right? So the difference between like hitting between picks 1 and 10 and hitting between 25 and 32 is so staggering, like at this point. And I'm fine because I have allowed and I have seen Brandon Beane hit on some of the later round picks by itself. Would you be surprised if we traded up for a DB that we have graded high? No, not at all. Not at all. Say it's CB2. Will Johnson makes a lot of sense to me. I could potentially see us trading up for Trey Amos. Say that he slips out of the first. So I could see us trading up really high into the second round to grab that guy. Same thing could be said with Maxwell Harrison. Same thing could be said about Darian Porter. A lot of options. A lot of options here. Dude, Dan, I don't love Morrison, but he does play zone. And man, he actually played more zone with Benjamin Morrison. I'm not a Morrison guy. What's up, Dan Mitchell? What's up, Jesse? How you doing? Bills, and do you still like Jalen Royals? Yeah, he's my favorite wide receiver as far as what is realistic for the Buffalo Bills to get. It's him, Kyle Williams, and then Isaiah Bond. As far as realistic wide receivers, I think that we could go with. Chris, would you rather have Thomas or Hairston? Ooh, Zaria Thomas and or Hairston. I feel like I'd be fine with both. I'd probably go Maxwell Hairston. What if we trade James Cook to move up for Genty? Here's the thing. Say that we do use James Cook at all for trade compensation so that we can move up and then maybe acquire more draft capital in 2026 and 2027. I really hope that we don't end up going for a running back in the early rounds. It makes no sense. We have Ray Davis on the squad already. He played very well with the limited snaps and opportunities he had. Have Ty Johnson. And this running back class is so deep, like so crazy deep. There are so many gems that could be found all the way down to the 5th round. So no, I would not. I would still want to focus on defense. Jesus is saying, seems like the same old offseason year after year with Beane, and they needed to go all out like the Eagles and Rams did when they won their Super Bowl. So So what a lot of people don't understand about the Philadelphia Eagles is that Roseman was not always known as this genius GM. His first couple of draft classes were absolutely terrible, and half of Philadelphia wanted him gone. It's all about personnel, right? And scouting departments and everything like that. And the Buffalo Bills were in an interesting like cap situation. As far as what we've done so far this offseason, I think that it's very smart that we ultimately ended up extending Josh Allen when we could. So I thought that it was super imperative that we ended up getting Khalil Shakir back on the numbers, right? Same thing with Bernard, same thing with Rousseau. It's fine to pay your young guys. It's fine to pay the guys that have grown within this defense already. And honestly, we are so damn close. But like, we just need to get over that damn injury bug that seems to play us during all of the important times that we can see. If you want to say Karlaftis, then you got to say we got Groot. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. If someone says Karlaftis, then you definitely need to say that we got Gregory Rousseau. That is absolutely true. If James Cook threatens a holdout and there are replacements for him in the draft, I feel like that there are replacements for him on this roster already. It's Ray Davis, right? Okay, how many trades and do you think we will see in the draft this year? In general, 2 or 3. I think we'll see about like 2 major ones for players that want to move forward. Cook to Dallas for pick number 8. Cook to Dallas for pick number 8. If that's the case, then we better be walking away with Jahdae Barron, right? Yeah, we better be walking away with Jahdae Barron and or Will Johnson, like one of the two. Ugh. What about Cook for Genty? I'm good. Why do people think trading James Cook is going to help trade up in the first? With trading Cook, we might be able to move up 1 spot in the draft. I'm not sure about that extreme. Like maybe we'd be able to get up like 6, 7 spaces. Say that we also included like a 2026 like 3rd or something like that, or maybe we packaged like one of our seconds. But it's definitely not. It's definitely not realistic for us to go to like top 10 with James Cook or anything. But I do think that we would be able to move up considerably in the second with Cook being shipped off. My favorite wide receivers are Ty Felton, Kyle Williams, Tez Johnson. Trust me, he was jogging at the 40. And Lacy, even though he was a legit crash out, he's fast and a good route runner. Is Lacy going to be like not in jail? Say that Kieran Lacy, say that he's not in jail, then I'm fine with it, bro. I'm fine with bringing that guy onto this team. No questions asked. No questions asked. Soul Train is coming in and saying, if the Bills draft Kyle Williams, I hope he becomes someone as beloved as the defensive tackle. I'm telling you what, I'm not saying the Bills are going to draft Kyle Williams, but dude, whoever drafts Kyle Williams, he's going to go down as like one of the best wide receivers of this class. 5 years from now, when we reflect on this draft class of wide receivers, we are not going to remember Matthew Golden. We are not going to remember Tet McMillan. It's going to be Kyle Williams, who will be the best wide receiver coming out of this draft. And people are like, Dan, what are you talking about? Who called Ladd McConkey last year, all right? How many of y'all were calling me nuts when I said that Ladd McConkey was about to be one of the best wide receivers out of this draft class, all right? So put some respect on Dan Mitchell's name when it comes into wide receivers, all right? I'm 1 for 1. Batting 1,000, baby. XO put, am I the only one that wants Cook to stay? Yeah, dude, listen, I want him to stay too. But as far as hypotheticals, right? Because I think this has been a topic. If there were any players that Buffalo would potentially trade for some like draft capital so that they can move up, whatever. I think that he would be one of the candidates. I think he would be. Are there any thoughts on either of these, the Florida wide receivers, Badger? I'm good. Yeah, I'm good on both of those guys. Flip it this time, Dan. Oh, man. Trading Cook is not a smart move. What was the point of drafting and developing him? Pay the man. There are no guarantees bringing in a new running back. It's funny because we definitely have a polarizing half, like right between Bills fans. 9 times out of 10, well, actually 50% of you are saying trade him, whatever, it's not worth it. And others are just like, pay him $30 million a year, lock him down, you know? I feel like both you guys are wrong. Like both sides are. Me, so in an ideal world, like what I would like for James Cook is about 10 to $11 million per year, 3-year contract, and guarantee about 75% of the contract at signing. So to make him happy, right? I don't want to pay him, you know, so an absurd amount, especially since we already have promise. So with Ray Davis, and we have a lot of defensive holes. But then I also don't agree with people that say, "Oh, dude, screw that guy. He means nothing to this offense." I think those people are also wrong. So it's definitely a devil's advocate sort of thing. Any of our second round picks can get us to pick 18 according to the draft pick trade charts. Cook is was a 4th round at best, and 4th rounder can allow us to move up from pick 30 to 26 to 28. We should trade up for Will Johnson and trade Cook, and then we should get Omarion Hampton or Judkins in the 3rd. Get Scatabo. Hey, man, stop sleeping on Ray Davis, man. Stop sleeping on Ray Davis. He would be more than capable of being able to take over as RB1. I just did a mock draft, and Emanwari, Trey Amos, Tyleek Williams, Josiah Stewart, and oh my God. Now, if you're talking about a draft that would really excite me, talk to me about that. Talk to me about that if the board can fall that way. Andy is coming in and saying, I think it's a good idea for the Bills not to re-sign him just yet. See if he can have the same season he did last year in this upcoming season. See if he's really worth $12 to $15 million. So regardless, say, for example, that we don't sign him to an extension, he's going to play on his final year of his rookie deal. It doesn't make financial sense. In my opinion, Ray is going to be better than James. I just wish Ray wasn't so old already. He's 25 years old. Soul Train is saying, I think people want Cook traded because it's finally a deep running back draft and that money can be used elsewhere. Parker is saying, Brandon Bean was a guest on the Fitz and Whip podcast recently. He talked about the draft process and players. Worth the damn watch. I did see a couple of clips, particularly about when he sort of shoved off the fact of the conversations with extensions from James Cook and then also Christian Benford. I'd say pay James Cook $11 million a year with $4 million in incentives. That way he gets his $15 million a year. Matt Winters. I mean, hey, we shall see. Crazy question, but do you wish the Bills drafted Patrick Mahomes? No, I don't think so, man. Because here's the thing. I honestly don't know what Patrick Mahomes would have been to the Buffalo Bills if he was drafted to the Buffalo Bills. Yes, he's a dynamic ball player. He really is. But let's think about the environment that Kansas City was when Patrick Mahomes walked into it. Had a pretty solid offensive line, had a winning culture. Like that team made the playoffs prior to him even starting with Alex Smith as their guy. Had an offensive-minded head coach in Andy Reid. Had a Tyreek Hill, had a Travis Kelce, had a bunch of star-studded talent around him. What would have been Patrick Mahomes' first career year over in Buffalo, right? Like, so do you think that he would have been welcome to the league? Like, he would not have had an opportunity of being able to sit behind a qualified starter, right? Like, he truly would have had to been the face of the franchise. I honestly think that a QB's success from the beginning all depends on what organization he gets drafted to in the first place. What does that current roster look like? So I'm not entirely sure that Patrick Mahomes would have done well in Buffalo for his first couple of years. I don't know. I'm sure he would have figured it out, right? But I don't know. If Allen had Reed and they would have been to a few Super Bowls by now, is Josh Allen better than Lamar Jackson? So I say that there are two different players. Yes. We have Mike Green. Is grass green? Calvin Useless Benjamin. Lamar is ass. Esther. And you're going to be late to the AFC East roundtable. So we actually ended up not doing the show this evening because TD ended up getting an offender bender. He's fine. He's fine, but his car ended up getting into an accident. So we are going to just do a Wednesday night show, but it's going to be a long one, Esther. It's going to be a long Wednesday evening show. Noah, I still think they should have kept Sammy Watkins in 2017. Oh my God. Soul Train. And we can't do the what if game because you can say, what if we had multiple Hall of Famers on defense and created the best defense of all time? Josem, Walter Nolan, Stewart, and Kobe Bryant. If you know, you know. Kobe is a beast. I wouldn't mind him as a CB2. John, I say no to James because the draft has a lot of good running backs who can block. We need a running back who can protect Josh and his salary. Mojo, it's the AFC late table, so each member must be at least 10 minutes late. Oh, man, you already know how we are. Glad he's okay. Still horrible takes, though. Dude. Oh, poor TD. In TD's rear bumper or front bumper in need of repairs. Back bumper, I believe. Back bumper. Oh, my God. Matt, and do you think that this will hurt Keon with all these new wide receivers being brought in? No. It's because I feel like people made the mistake of looking at Keon Coleman as a wide receiver number one. I do not believe that he was ever drafted to be a wide receiver number one. He was a role player for us. He was a Gabe Davis replacement, right? Like we wanted somebody that could be very strong in contested catch situations, something the Buffalo Bills did not have prior to Keon Coleman. I don't think that Buffalo has ever expected Keon to be a number one wide receiver. And so I think that that role is going over to Khalil Shakir at this point, right? And then maybe we end up getting a guy, so this year in the draft. But no, not at all. In fact, I do think that this is going to improve Coleman. Go Bills. My sister has cancer. Keep her in your prayers. I'm so sorry to hear that, my friend. I will certainly keep that in my prayers. I hope nothing but for a speedy recovery, my friend. That is sad. That saddens my heart. What's up, Matt? How you doing, bro? Derek, and did you see Netflix is releasing Kobe Bryant documentary, The Black Mamba? I'm going to tune in, man. Listen, I am a sucker for a good sports documentary. Soul Train. I always felt like Keon Coleman needs a year or two of development. I believe in his potential. So do I. Noah. Bean doesn't value wide receiver one outside of Stephon Diggs. Exo put Gary. TD rear-ended at light while he was daydreaming about Josh Allen. Absolutely, Gary. Absolutely. We already know that. Both Shakir and Kincaid will do better. John, that's the positivity I need in my life. This year we face the Bengals and the Eagles, and Smith and Higgins are wide receiver 2, and behind Chase and Brown. Say Johnson is gone. Who would you pick to lock down Devontae Smith and Higgins? Okay. CB2 should have locked down both of them. Somebody wildly physical. So I'm assuming you're talking about a guy in the draft. I'd say Will Johnson and Maxwell Hairston. One of those two. If TD would have had a Buffalo bumper sticker, that would not happen. Go Bills. Absolutely. Oh, my God. We have Josem is coming in and saying, if Bean just watches Kyle Williams route running, I think he'd love him. And Dan, you should check out Ty Felton. He runs a 4.37 and a nice route runner. I'm going to have to, dude. Listen, man, y'all been talking about Ty Felton quite a bit. And it's a shame and it's a crime that I haven't had an ability to do so already. Trade Cook to the Bears for pick 39 in the second round. Wow. Next quarterback season on Netflix should be Josh Lamar and Herbert. Josh Allen has not beaten the Eagles in his career 0-2. That game is going to be in Buffalo this season and will be an amazing shootout. I know that is the only team that Josh Allen has not had a victory over. Crazy, right? Walter S. I know Bean always talks about wishing we were in the position to get Jamar Chase, But do you really think he'd pay Chase $40 million per year with it? It was time to pay up. I'm not convinced he would. Oh, man. I seriously think the Bills should trade up and get Malachi Starks. We desperately need a safety, and I think he would fit our defense so well. Him or Emanwari, I'm happy. 0 questions there. Hey, Dan, Ty Johnson for RB1. Why or why not? I feel like Ty Johnson is more of like a limited snap share sort of player. He's like a third down goal line sort of guy. I'd probably give that over to Ray Davis before anybody else. Cammy Poo. Dan, why did we sign a player on a 1-year deal who will miss the first 6 games? Great question. Great question. It's pretty hard to beat the Eagles when they throw 25 flags on you. I think we should trade up and get James Pierce. I'm not a big James Pierce guy. Dan, 3rd time's a charm for Allen to beat the Eagles. Absolutely, man. Lock it in. Bills traded their 5th round pick for Jamal Dean. Oh, beautiful. Trade Knox in a 2026 second for picks 16 and 20. Dan, would you be mad if we traded up for Jahdae Barron, corner from Texas? No, it would be the complete opposite. In fact, I would be thrilled. Adam, what's up, man? I hear Emanwari's traits don't show up on film and translate to great ball. I'm a big Emanwari guy. Big Emanwari guy, man. Dan, is Glenn giving away the thing yet? Wednesday evening, I believe. Emanwari has a standing vertical of 43 inches. John Morant was 44, to put it into perspective. Yeah, talk to me. How did Gore Jr. develop last year on the practice squad? That's a great question. I really haven't heard any reports on it, but I will do some research, Gary, and I'm going to get back to you, brother. Allen's documentary should be named Wild Bill. Oh, my God. Hold up. Okay, I was just double checking and making sure that as though there was no news that would have made me go crazy. If there was ever a time to trade Cook, it's now. And this is easily the best running back class in recent history. You have Genty, Scatabo, Hampton, and Neal are all amazing. Did we actually get Jamel Dean? All right. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go on ahead and run. I just wanted to come on here and talk about a couple of prospects or a couple of player personnel that I think we could trade if we wanted to get some additional draft capital and or move up. But sound off in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. I love each and every single one of you, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Peace.